Good morning, students. Today topic is spherical aberration. Before going to discuss the spherical aberration, the basics are every lens is divided into number of zones. Is as you are observing in the diagram, O is an object which is lies on the optic axis, and some marginal rays and paraxial rays are observing on the diagram. The rays which are falling on the edge or rim of the lens are called as marginal rays. The rays which are parallel to the optic axis are called as paraxial rays. Since the marginal rays suffers more deviation, therefore they forms the image at IM. Therefore IM is the image due to marginal rays. Since the paraxial rays are having lesser deviation, therefore they forms the image on the optic axis at IP, which is farther away from IM. Therefore, the definition of the spherical aberration is the failure or inability of the lens to form a point image of an axial point object is called spherical aberration. If you are observing the diagram, P is an object which simply sends the light rays and falling on the lens, and after falling on the lens, passing through the lens, the light rays are forms the image at P double dash and P dash. P double dash is the image due to marginal rays and P dash is the image due to paraxial rays. Therefore, different places different images are formed. Spherical aberration is also in the case of spherical aberration with a parallel light rays from the object. The marginal light rays of the object is focused before the point of focus of paraxial light rays. Please observe the diagram. Marginal rays, paraxial rays and optic axis are all are visible, and also right side of the lens marginal ray focus point and paraxial ray focus point, and the distance between the marginal image and the paraxial image is called as longitudinal spherical aberration. Paraxial ray means a ray on the optic axis or very close to it, which the ray in the diagram is not. It is drawn further out to illustrate the idea of the circle of least confusion and also spherical aberration. So spherical aberration is also another diagram shown in the another diagram. So continuous red color light rays are light rays, and dotted black and red color line is called as optic axis. Therefore, on the right side of the lens, a vertical green color light is the point called as best focus point. Therefore, the image is not at all clear at the marginal point and also paraxial point. It lies at the somewhere another point as shown in the figure as a green color vertical line. So this is about the spherical aberration. So if we go through the detailed description of the or explanation of the spherical aberration, now the lens can be supposed to be divided into number of circular zones. So different zones have different focal lengths. The focal length of marginal zone is lesser than the paraxial zone. Hence the marginal rays are focused first. The spherical aberration can also be explained by saying that the marginal rays suffer greater deviation than the paraxial rays because they are incident at a greater height than later. The distance between the IM and IP is the measure of longitudinal or axial spherical aberration. Now, if a screen is placed normal to the principal axis at IM, then the image on the screen consists of a circular disc. Now as you are observing the diagram, if a screen is placed at IM, the image is not at all appearing clearly. And also if the screen is moved from IM to IP, then if your screen is now present at IP, at this place also image is not clear. If you are moving the screen from IM to IP, then only one particular point called AB, the image is appear to be more clear. Now, if the screen is placed at a marginal point IM, the image is not at all clear. And also if the screen is placed at the paraxial image IP, at this place also image is not clear. Therefore at only one particular point, as shown in the figure, a red color circle is appearing. At that point only the image is appeared more clearly. Then that circle is called a circle of least confusion. Then the radius of that circle of least confusion is called as transverse spherical aberration or lateral spherical aberration. If the, if the screen is placed normal to the principal axis at IM, then the image on the screen consists of a circular disc. The disc would be sharply focused at the center but diffused near the outer edge. A disc image would again be obtained if the screen is placed at IP. If the screen is moved between IM and IP, then the size of the disc is minimum in the position AB, where the paraxial and marginal rays cross. Due to the smallest cross section, that is called as a circle of least confusion. That radius of circle of least confusion is called as a lateral spherical aberration. So we discussed what is a spherical aberration and what are the types of spherical aberration. Now in the next topic we are going to deal with the how the spherical aberration can be minimized and what are the ways to minimize the spherical aberration. Let us see. So minimization of spherical aberration consisting of so many methods. In that, first one, by means of stops. We know that spherical aberration is due to the different focal lengths of different zones. The spherical aberration can be minimized by using stops. The stops used may be of such a nature that it permits only the axial rays and stops the marginal rays, or permits the marginal rays and stops the axial rays. So this method is not generally used since the intensity of the image is very much reduced. So if you put an obstacle or stop while passing through the marginal rays, then the marginal image is disappeared. If you put a stop at the paraxial rays, then the paraxial image is simply disappeared. Therefore in this case we only get only one image, but the image intensity is not that much clear. So this is the first method. Second method, by the use of plano-convex lenses or by dividing the deviation equally. So the spherical aberration may be minimized by using a plano-convex lens as shown in the figure. It has been observed that the spherical aberration is proportional to square of the total deviation produced by the lens. If delta is the total deviation produced by the lenses, delta 1 and delta 2 are the deviations produced at the two surfaces of the lens. That means if delta 1 is the deviation produced by the first lens and delta 2 be the deviation produced by the second lens when two lenses are using, then spherical aberration is proportional to square of delta, which is equal to delta 1 plus delta 2 whole square. So it is again almost equal to delta 1 minus delta 2 whole square plus 4 delta 1 delta 2. So which is obviously minimum when delta 1 equal to delta 2, that is the deviation is equally divided at the two surfaces. Therefore spherical aberration is minimized by using the two plano convex lenses in this way. And one more important minimizing method in spherical aberration is by using two suitable lenses in contact. It has been observed that in case of convex lens, the marginal image IM lies towards the left of paraxial image IP, while in the case of concave lens, the marginal image IM lies towards the right of the paraxial image IP. Thus, by a suitable combination of two lenses, the spherical aberration may be minimized. The difficulty with this combination is that it works only for a particular pair of object and image for which it is designed. And very important method of minimizing spherical aberration is by using two plano-convex lenses separated by a distance. So as shown in the figure, L1 and L2 are two lenses separated by a distance d. Let f1 and f2 be the focal lengths of the two lenses. Therefore, AB is a ray, light ray, which meets the lens L1 at a height h1 and suffers the deviation delta 1 equal to h1 by f1. This is directed towards f1 dash as shown in the figure. The second focal point of L1. The refracted ray BC strikes the lens L2 at a height h2 and suffers a deviation delta 2 equal to h2 by f2. So AB is an incident light ray which strikes the lens at a height h1 and suffers after passing through a lens it suffers a deviation delta 1, and BC is the refracted light ray and strikes the lens L2 at a height h2 and suffers the deviation angle as delta 2. Therefore, by using our previous topics, deviation produced by the lens delta 1 equal to h1 by f1 and delta 2 equal to h2 by f2. Therefore, for a minimum spherical aberration as we discussed earlier, delta 1 equal to delta 2. That means deviation produced by the two lenses individually should be equal. Then only spherical aberration is minimum. Therefore, for minimum spherical aberration, delta 1 equal to delta 2. Therefore, from using the properties of triangles, h1 by f1 equal to h2 by f2 implies h1 by h2 equal to f1 by f2. But in the figure, the similar triangles B L1 f1 dash and C L2 f1 dash are similar triangles. Therefore, h1 by h2 is equal to L1 f1 dash by L2 f1 dash, which is equal to small f1 by L1 f1 dash minus L1 L2, which is equal to f1 by f1 minus d. So first equation is h1 by h2 equal to f1 by f2, and another second equation h1 by h2 equal to f1 by f1 minus d. So those using those two equations, h1 by h2 equal to f1 by f2, which is equal to f1 by f1 minus d. Therefore, simplification f2 equal to f1 minus d, which is equal to d equal to f1 minus f2. This is the condition for the minimization of the spherical aberration is d equal to f1 minus f2. If we want to reduce the spherical aberration by using two lenses of focal lengths f1 and f2, then they should be having a distance between them as d equal to f1 minus f2, where f1 and f2 are the focal lengths of the two lenses used. In the figure, please observe in the figure, the emergent ray meets the axis at f dash. That means the second focal point of the combination. L1 L2 are both lenses are using, then the combined focal length is at a point f1 dash. So these are the methods to minimize the spherical aberration. Okay, thank you.